This is under Title 32. The president is acting as if he's the governor of D.C. So he has the same authority that a state governor has in our nation's capital. It's designed that way on purpose. And so if you're a National Guard member under Title 32 doing a law enforcement function or preventing riots or what have you, you can do whatever you're told to do. You could arrest people if you wanted to. The problem with that, Brian, is that we're not trained to make a Miranda arrest, right? So what you end up doing, as the Secretary of Defense explained, is you detain someone, you hold them until you can hand them off to law enforcement to be properly arrested and to be read their rights. So that's what we're looking at in D.C. The other thing that's, to me, very interesting is that the shortfall of police in D.C. today is about the same as the shortfall of police were in Los Angeles in 1992 when I was deployed for the 92 riots. We had 10,000 guardsmen that came in for the riots, plus another 4,500 active duty Army and Marines. And I was under Title 32 for about 3 or 4 days, and I was federalized under Title 10. And I was still able to do the same work as I was under Title 32 because the president invoked the Insurrection Act. Now, President Trump doesn't have to do that in D.C., again, because he is the commander-in-chief of the D.C. Guard.
I'm just curious why you've been so critical of the administration trying to solve this problem. Is it the process that you don't like? Because it looks like they're doing the same thing that you're doing, which is surging resources to the city.
It's because I'm proud to be the 63rd governor of the state of Maryland, and I'm honored to be the commander-in-chief of the Maryland National Guard.
Then overseas. So isn't it fair to have them there? And it's Democrats that agree with this measure. Don't take my word for it. The local cop there, the police chief, agrees with this. The mayor of the city agrees with this. And it's because people that look like me and you are dying.
All I can say, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, dogs and cats, is it is getting hot in here. Time to take off all your clothes. I am getting so hot, I gotta take my clothes off. If you're not paying attention to the news and you're not seeing the smoke that is just everywhere against the Democratic Party, let me just show you some of the smoke. And where there's smoke, there's fire. Let's start right here. Nicolas Maduro. Tell Donald Trump to come get me. If you recall, he was on TV ranting and raving saying, tell Donald Trump to come down there and get me. Now, Tres de Aragua is their military arm of this government. And if you know anything about their government, they went into the prisons, did a deal with them. The Tres de Aragua gang, and said, okay, you guys are going to be our military wing of our government. Then they sent their military wing into the United States of America with the help of dumb, filthy, dog, lying scumbag Democrats to bring in fentanyl, drug traffic, sex traffic, and do all the things. And if you want to send a message to Tres de Aragua, you got to send a message to the head of Tres de Aragua. Maduro's in a tough spot right now. Pressure keeps piling up as a massive naval force is to be stationed in the Caribbean Sea off the coast of Venezuela. Donald J. Trump administration has taken several steps to contain and possibly even topple this misgovernment of Bolivarian socialist dictator Nicolas Maduro, a man that the U.S. classifies as a narco-terrorist and a cartel head. First, the U.S. charged Maduro for evading sanctions and put a bounty on his head. As you can read, the DOJ offers 50 million pesos for information leading to the arrest of Venezuelan dictator Maduro. After that, the U.S. military is now deploying 4,000 Marines. Now, you got to understand, you can send sailors and then you can send Marines. Marines really ain't good enough for nothing but breaking stuff. That's what they do. They break stuff. And 4,000 Marines is enough people to break a whole lot of stuff. And sailors to the waters around Latin America and the Caribbean as part of a counter-cartel mission. This deployment includes IWO Jima Amphibious Ready Group, comprised of USS Iwo Jima, USS Fort Lauderdale, and USS San Antonio, a nuclear-powered attack submarine, several destroyers, guided missiles, and additional P-8 Poseidon reconnaissance aircraft. Oh, they're finna blow his ass up out the water. Yeah, they're finna blow him out the water. You don't need all that unless you plan on blowing something up. And I'm gonna tell you this. Let me show them on the screen because I ain't looking. Remember, Donald said we weren't doing no more regime changes, but he didn't say he wasn't doing no more regime changes for himself. He said we weren't going over and regime changing for the New World Order. He said we weren't doing no regime change in Russia for the European Union. But boy, I think he about to do some regime changing down in Venezuela. According to United Nations Convention on the Laws of Sea, UNCLOS, U.S. destroyers and other naval vessels reportedly arriving in 36 hours to the Caribbean Sea can position themselves outside Venezuela territory waters at a distance greater than 12 nautical miles from the coast. In other words, right there. Legally, those destroyers and ships can remain in that area for as long as they wish. What they cannot do is interfere with Venezuela's legal commercial activity, since the exclusive economic zone does extend up to 200 nautical miles. And just so you'll know, the exclusive or nautical zone was basically territory being handed over to them by Joe Biden. And so let's take a look at this map. Boy, look at that. You sunk my battleship. Look at that. Look at that. Just surrounded that boy. Surrounded that boy. Look at that. U.S. Gravely. U.S. Io Jimawama, a submarine. Samson. Antonio. Fort Lauderdale. And Jason Durham. Yeah, boy. You got problems on your hand, Maduro. And you got to understand, from that position in the water, they can reach anywhere in Venezuela with bombs. And I'm telling you right now, like the girl said on the plane, I feel as if, and I'm pretty certain, that they're going to bomb Maduro. They're going to bomb Nicolas Maduro. I want to find a clip of him saying, "Come get me, Donald. If you bad, Donald, come get me." But let's start with Caroline Levitt. You notice that Caroline Levitt has her cross back on again? We went through that time of pride in the White House where everybody took their crosses off. She had hers off. Pam Bondi didn't have it on. She back.
You're welcome. Emily.
Thanks, Caroline. I wanted to ask about the 3 U.S. warships that are being sent to Venezuela, and there's 4,000 Marines on board. Are you looking at possibility of boots on the ground there?
What I will say with respect to Venezuela, President Trump has been very clear and consistent. He's prepared to use every element of American power to stop drugs from flooding into our country and to bring those responsible to justice. The Maduro regime is not the legitimate government of Venezuela. It is a narco-terror cartel. In Maduro, it is the view of this administration, is not a legitimate president. He is a fugitive head of this cartel who has been indicted in the United States for trafficking drugs into the country. And with that, I will leave you all, and we will see you later, if not tomorrow, and I look forward to taking more of your questions. Thank you.
In other words, we're going to drop bombs on his damn head. Yeah. In other words, we're going to blow them out the water. This is the time where you should keep watching the waters, man, right around Venezuela. Because what she just said was, in a nice way, yeah, he's a terrorist, we're going to kill him. We're going to kill him, we're going to kill them all, we're going to kill him and kill them good. Then as we scan around the world, in Britain, people are protesting. Now, and this is, you got to understand, this is very important. The inability for the people in Britain to stand up against the oppressive Muslims, to see the UK and the people in Britain standing up against the migrant hotels and the policies which allow the migrant invaders to come in, is a very positive thing. It truly is a positive thing, ladies and gentlemen, because they hadn't been standing up. They just been getting trampled on. Their children been getting snatched. Their women been getting snatched up. They was climbing through their windows, snatching their people up. You know what I'm saying? And they weren't doing nothing about it. And we're seeing them turn and finally do something. The next thing I'm going to cover, and it's the last thing I'm going to cover, is Pam Bondi and this crazy Asian male that's sitting there being defiant when they told her, you can't be a sanctuary city. And I'm excited because I think the National Guard is going to get deployed into all kinds of places. When you start to look at the crime statistics of Washington, D.C., you realize that since the National Guard has been deployed, D.C. is a peaceful place. Yeah, it's a real peaceful place. And just so you can see here the crime stats And they are down. DC crime since federal control. That is robbery down by 46%. Carjacking down by 83%. Car theft down by 21%. Violent crime down by 22%. All crimes down by 8%. Assault with a deadly weapon is down 6%. You know, it really just takes you to have the right person in office in order for stuff to go down. Now, there's something else that's very interesting that has come out of this DC move, and that's the statistics and how the DOJ is now in the process of criminally charging people for fake statistics. And, you know, when you think about it, this is what you have to do with these people. I mean, you have to completely and totally decimate their infrastructure, take away their fake balance, take away their fake statistics, bring in truth, put their criminals on the shelf and put them in prison. This is how you clean it. I mean, this is literally cleaning it all up, man.
Meantime, you have Newsbusters pointing out that there's already an investigation about D.C. crime numbers that we know have been kind of finagled because they're looking into it, but ABC says those numbers are gospel. Watch.
The president declaring an emergency, saying crime in D.C. is spiraling out of control, even though the district's official figures showing violent crime recently hitting a 30-year low, down 26% since last year, numbers the president has baselessly called phony.
Because if the numbers are phony and Trump's right, that's not allowed.
Right, and they keep saying crime has gone down in D.C., which may not be true, but it's also misleading because crime is way above the national average in D.C., and it reached a boiling point in 2023. Last year in 2024, it was 3 times the national average violent crime. So, yeah, it's maybe gone down a little, but when it's so high, it's still too high. It's gone down a little.
The most interesting thing here for me is that, I'm sorry, hold on. The most interesting thing for me here is I like the tick for tat. You know what I'm saying? So he goes into D.C., the media comes out, crime statistics are down. Okay, let's see about it. I don't believe the statistics. Let's go do an investigation. And understand, if you investigate and nothing's wrong, by the time you get through with the investigation, you're going to have the city cleaned up. So it was the most genius move and maneuver to say, okay, yeah, the statistics, crime is down. Let's go take a look at the statistics. And then you see people spazzing out and panicking, especially because the police union came out and said that, no, these are fake stats. Yes, the police union came out and said that they were fake stats. And then we have the head of the D.C. police union confirming that the crime stats have been changed. And liberals are having meltdowns. I mean, they're used to just, running roughshod over everybody, lying, getting their way, doing whatever they want to do. And it's at every turn they're getting chin checked. And these people are not used to this, man. Hell, I'm not used to seeing this happen to these people. But I'm damn sure happy it did happen to him. And it is happening to him. That's the police chief, by the way, of D.C., a Nephilim.
Law enforcement in D.C. who on the scene of crimes have been told, yeah, don't write that one down, or don't add that to the list, or put that down as a more minor offense.
Absolutely. That's one of the chief complaints of our members when we go around and talk to them, is that they respond to the scenes of these violent crimes. And inevitably, you'll have a captain or a commander or sometimes a lieutenant show up on the scene and advise them to take a report for a lesser offense. One of the things that we see them do often is sometimes there'll be a shooting or a stabbing, and if the victim is uncooperative with the police, which is not uncommon in some areas of the city, they'll be directed to take an injured person to the hospital report, which is not even a crime at all. It's an incident report. Sometimes you'll have a robbery. It'll be reported as a theft. Other times you'll have burglaries that are reported as unlawful entry or thefts. This is something that's been, unfortunately, part and parcel of the police department for some time, and we're very skeptical that these crime stats are accurate.
That's extraordinary. What is the motivation? Why are these commanders or higher-ups arriving on the scene during apprehensions and telling police officers to indicate something other than what actually happened at the scene?
Well, the only explanation could be to keep the crime stats down, because politically that's expedient for the police department and elected officials in the district. I mean, let's go back to how we got here, which is that in 2020, the D.C. City Council passed the Comprehensive Policing and Justice Reform Act, which was a sweeping piece of legislation designed to hamstring police officers, to reduce the size, scope, and responsibilities of police officers. In addition, it also prevented us from holding criminals accountable even when they're convicted of crimes. And so now here we are 5 years later, the police department with an authorized strength of 4,000 sworn members. We only have 3,180, leaving us with over 800 vacancies for the position of police officer. In order to make up for that gap, the police department uses 2 million hours of mandatory overtime to cover the demand for police officers. And so because of that, crime has skyrocketed in the district. And one of the things that we think is going on in the police department, which who knows how high up that those directives are coming from, is to make sure that these crime stats are reported in the most favorable way possible.
I mean, what you're saying obviously substantiates what we heard from President Trump. He said they were opening an investigation and that he didn't believe, because what happened, I don't have to tell you, I'm speaking to the audience at large, but when President Trump said he wanted to bring in National Guard, all we heard from many quarters in the media and in leadership in Washington was, this is ridiculous. Our numbers are lower than they've been in a long time in Washington, D.C. We don't need National Guard presence on our streets. I mean, this sounds very, very egregious. This is lying to the people, the constituents of Washington, D.C., and lying to the federal government about what your numbers really are.
Well, you're right, Martha. It is a crime under D.C. Code. It would be false swearing and it would be false reporting. And those are statutes in the D.C. Code that make it illegal to do that, to falsify police reports or to change the data. So if the DOJ is in fact investigating, I hope they do. And if they find that somebody was intentionally manipulating the data, they should be held accountable. It's a crime in the District of Columbia. And frankly, it's a disservice to the police department. It's a disservice to the city. And most of all, it's a disservice to the victims whose police reports are not being properly handled, and we're not dedicating the proper resources to the crimes that they've been victims of. So something needs to change here, and this is an important issue.
It's a huge issue. Let's put up Michael Pulliam, Metropolitan Police Commander, just as one example. He served as commander of the 3rd District in 2024, and now it's confirmed that he was placed on leave because he reported to the EEOC that he felt that crimes were being misrepresented on reports, which, as you point out, is indeed a crime to do that. So they're putting police officers in a situation where they have to commit a crime to fill out their police report in front of their commanders. Where is this directive coming from? How high does this go? Is it the chief of police? Is it the mayor of D.C.?
Well, that's a good question, and I think somebody's going to have to dig into that and figure it out.
And it's obvious that they cover up crime stats, and it's obvious why they want to. And the last clip I'm going to show you is the actual the mayor of D.C. having a meltdown. There's no need to send thousands and thousands of troops here because they're afraid that they're going to get arrested. And here she is, Mayor Bowser, on the Breakfast Club, talking about how crime is at 30. I don't know why people keep running to the Breakfast Club. I don't know why they run to the Breakfast Club. Like, what the hell the Breakfast Club going to do for you? When you're going to talk to Charlamagne the fraud and he's supposed to get the word out, and how that's supposed to help? It is everything that these people do is nonsensical. But here she is lying.
I heard some of what you said. The numbers just don't justify the action. We have seen a precipitous lessening of crime in the city, violent crime especially, after a post-COVID spike that we acknowledged and we got after and we drove down the numbers in 2023. We reported last year the lowest level of violent crime in 30 years. So we're not taking our foot off the gas. We're continuing to work. But we think that this action kind of plays into his narrative about cities, about using force, about being tough on crime. And I can say a little bit more about why DC is different, but it's times like this when America needs to know why your nation's capital, a place where 700,000 tax-paying Americans live, should be the 51st state. I heard some of what you said. The number.
Crime is really down now. Like, there's videos of people walking the streets, some, oh my God, I feel different, I feel safe. And your long nose, big lip, curly hair behind didn't do your job. I told y'all a long time ago I had a huge problem with all these black women going into office as mayors. I said it when Latoya Cantrell went to New Orleans. I said it when Karen Bass popped her demon mouth face up. Now, Elise Bowser is sort of cute compared to all the rest of them. But this concept and idea of black people taking the brunt of the fall of America, because that was the plan. The plan was to collapse America with all these black women in control. And a lot of these women are parts of the World Economic Forum leadership programs. And they were going to take the fall. And everybody's going to be mad at black people. Look at what black people doing. You know, the black mayors are this, the this, the this, the this. And so for all the black people who are out there like, oh, I don't like Donald Trump. No, he actually saving your dumb behind. The perception of your silly behind. Because the more you have these little kids out here running wild in the street, the more the perception of the black community goes down. So when I go outside and I drive through a neighborhood, they looking at me like I'm suspect, but I'm old as hell. I ain't no YN, but they might think I'm an ON. You know what I'm saying? You're like, who's this ON in my neighborhood? Or does he have some YNs in the vehicle with him? You see what I'm saying? So no, I appreciate what Donald Trump's doing, and you should appreciate it too. We all should appreciate it. Hit the like button, man. We'll see y'all on the next video.